Limits of indeterminate form. So here are a few examples which we'll try to solve by simplification, right? And in these examples, first thing I will try to show you that these are actually indeterminate form. What do we mean by indeterminate form? We actually mean that when we are trying to substitute the limiting value in our function, then we get 0 over 0. And if we get 0 over 0, which is mathematically not meaningful, then we say that it is indeterminate form. Now at this stage, limit may exist or may not exist. That we will find by using algebraic techniques, right? So in every question we'll have different types of techniques. Let's see, for this one, for example, we could expand and simplify, right? So first, let's see whether it is indeterminate form or not. Even otherwise, when you're trying to evaluate limit, first step should be to substitute the value and check your answer. If you get the answer, then that is the limit, right? Now here, let's put h equals to 0 and see what do we get. We get 4 plus 0 whole cube minus 64 over 0, right? Which is 64 minus 64 over 0, and that is 0 over 0, right? So it is the indeterminate form. 0 over 0 is meaningless and is not defined in mathematics. So that shows us that the function h is not equal to 0 and it is not defined at h equals to 0. But you should remember, limit is not at that point. Limit is what the value of the function is approaching as we are approaching that point from both left and right side, correct? So even if the function is not defined at a point, it may have a limit. So let's evaluate that limit, okay? So let's start with this question, which is limit h approaches 0, and we have 4 plus h whole cube minus 64 over h. So let's expand the numerator and simplify it. 4 plus h whole cube is 4 cube plus 3. You remember a plus b whole cube formula, which is a cube plus 3a square b plus 3ab square plus b cube. So we'll apply this formula here, right? So we get what? We get 4 cube plus 3 times 4 square h. Let me write the formula. Plus 3 times 4h square plus h cube, and then we have minus 64 over h, correct? Now this is equals to limit of the function as h approaches 0. Now 4 cube is 64, right? And then we have 4 square. So let me write this 4 square in brackets, otherwise there will be confusion, right? It may look like 34 square. So it is plus 3 times 4 square, 16 times 3 is 48. 48h. Plus, I should write this in brackets, right? 3 times 4 is 12. So 12h square plus h cube minus 64 over h, right? Now from here, 64 minus 64 is 0. And we can write this as limit h approaches 0. And we have 48h plus 12h square plus h cube. Now when 64 minus 64 is 0, we are left with these 3 terms. And in these 3 terms, we have h common, right? So we can factor this out and then cancel h. So that is the strategy. So let's write down first with these 3 terms. So we get 48h plus 12h square plus h cube over h, right? Now this could be written as limit as h approaches 0. So we can take h common, right? We get h common, and then we got 48 plus 12h plus h square over h. And now the factor h and h from numerator and denominator can be cancelled. H divided by h is 1, right? And therefore we are left with limit h approaches 0 of 48 plus 12h plus h squared. And now we can apply the laws of limits, right? Addition is, so we can add the limits of each term. So limit when h approaches 48 is equals to 48, is 48, right? And when it approaches 12h, I substitute h as 0, it becomes 0. And for h squared also, it is 0. And therefore, we get our answer, and that is, the answer is 48. So limit of this function is 48 as h approaches 0, right? So that is how we can find or evaluate limit of a function which is not defined at the limiting point, right? So that is the technique, and here we applied simplification of numerator to get our answer. I hope you understand and appreciate it. Thank you.